War, my friends, is a costly business. I'm talking dollars, pounds, rubles, cold, hard cash. Waging war in the 21st century is like buying a mega yacht, except instead of a jacuzzi, it has missiles. Take the Iraq War, for example. That little foray into the desert cost the United States over $2 trillion. $2 trillion. You know what else we could have done with that money? We could have built a high-speed rail system that would make the Japanese jealous. Or we could have given every single American free healthcare. The point is, war is expensive. But have you ever stopped to wonder where all that money comes from? Well, buckle up, Buttercup, because tonight, we're diving deep into the murky world of war finance. Back in the good old days, war financing was a much simpler affair. Kings and emperors would stash away gold and silver in giant treasure chests, like some kind of medieval savings account. But as empires expanded and armies grew larger, those treasure chests started looking inadequate. That's when governments discovered the magical world of debt, issuing war bonds, basically IOUs, to their citizens, promising to pay them back with interest. Fast forward to the present day and war finance has become a lot more sophisticated. Forget treasure chests and war bonds. We're talking about a complex web of financial instruments and shady dealings. So how do modern states afford to blow each other up? Let's break it down. 1. Taxation. Remember all those taxes you pay? Well, some of that money goes towards funding your country's military. 2. Borrowing. Just like you and me, governments love to rack up debt. They borrow money from other countries, international organizations, and even their own citizens. 3. Printing money. This is the economic equivalent of mainlining sugar. Printing too much money causes inflation, which means everything becomes more expensive. 4. External financing. Sometimes countries get by with a little help from their friends. Allies might provide financial aid or loans to support a war effort. 5. Resource exploitation. Got oil? Diamonds? Rare earth minerals? Congratulations, you've got yourself a war chest. Countries rich in natural resources often use them to finance their military ambitions. 6. Asset seizure. When all else fails, there's always the option of just taking what you want. Governments might seize assets from individuals, businesses, or even other countries to fund their wars. 7. Illicit financing. And then there's the dark underbelly of war finance criminal activities. We're talking drug trafficking, arms smuggling, money laundering, all the fun stuff. Section 4. Case studies, financing front lines around the world. The Iraq War. The US funded this little adventure primarily through borrowing, which helps explain why our national debt is higher than Snoop Dogg at a Willie Nelson concert. The Syrian Civil War. This conflict is a real financial cluster *CC, with funding coming from a tangled web of external actors, resource exploitation, and illicit activities. The Russo-Ukrainian War. Putin's excellent adventure has been financed through a combination of Russia's sovereign wealth fund, revenue from energy exports, and domestic borrowing. Ukraine, on the other hand, has been kept afloat by generous donations from Western countries and international organizations. It's like a global GoFundMe campaign, except the stakes are a little higher than a new pair of sneakers. Section 5. Beyond the battlefield, the human cost of war's price. When governments pour trillions of dollars into their military budgets, that money has to come from somewhere. And guess what? It often comes at the expense of essential services like healthcare, education, and infrastructure. Think about it, every dollar spent on a bomb is a dollar that can't be spent on building schools, hospitals, or providing clean water. It's a trade-off that has devastating consequences for civilian populations, particularly in developing countries. War finance is like a giant parasitic worm that burrows into the guts of a nation, sucking away resources and leaving behind a trail of poverty, disease, and social unrest. Section 6. A glimmer of hope, international efforts and the path forward. The good news is that there are international organizations out there working to mitigate the financial consequences of war and promote peace. The World Bank, the International Monetary Fund, and various NGOs are all involved in providing financial assistance to conflict-affected countries, rebuilding infrastructure, and promoting economic development. Now, I'm not saying these organizations are perfect, far from it. They're often hampered by bureaucracy, political interference, and the sheer complexity of conflict resolution. but they do represent a step in the right direction. So what can you, the average non-war-mongering citizen, do to make a difference? Support organizations working to prevent conflict and promote peace-building initiatives, donate to reputable charities, write to your elected officials, and stay informed about what's happening in the world. And most importantly, never underestimate the power of raising awareness. Talk to your friends and family about the true cost of war, both in terms of human life and financial resources.